Shout out to everybody out there on White Street. You already know what it is. Salute to everybody.
What's going on, yo? Welcome back to SteveBussaGS. We got another scorecard reaction for you guys, and you already know what it is. So first things first, man, I'll put the comment up on the screen. The whole reason we're doing this, boop, right here. I'm going to read it to you guys. Shout out to my guy, El Grandpapa Grande. I know you're not a new subscriber. I've seen your name pop up a lot. I appreciate the support. GS gang, 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 gang. I appreciate you, my guy. Salute. He recommended I do this. He said, check out Slikour. He's one of the OGs in the game. He released a song in 2011, caught a lot of criticism around the media for it. There were a lot of influential people that were criticizing it during the apartheid era. Now that I have an understanding of the culture in South Africa, which I'm still learning, and I do not by any stretch of the imagination claim to have a full understanding of it, please, man, there's a lot to talk about there and subject matter. So I was like, yeah, cool, I'm in. Then he says, the song title is called Blacks Are Fools. And at that point, I was like, cool, this is not something that I need to have on my channel. That seems like an easy way to shoot yourself in the foot while building up a hip-hop platform. That was my initial thought and my initial reaction. Like, we're family at this point, so I'm being transparent and honest with you. That was my initial thought. My second thought after that is because that was my thought process, that I almost have to do it. Hip-hop has never been about being comfortable, right? Hip-hop was actually the exact opposite. The origins of hip-hop were to talk about the things that were uncomfortable in your neighborhood, in your community, and give light to them. It was super uncomfortable the first time somebody said, fuck the police. Like, that's an uncomfortable thing to say in a community being ravaged by police. Like, that was an uncomfortable topic. But it was super important to the culture, and it was super important to the movement in and of itself. And when you're in hip-hop and you claim to be a part of the culture, I don't feel like you get to pick and choose which parts you want to look away from and which parts you want to tackle. I feel like you have to address it as a whole, and that's like I'm about being as authentic as possible. I also think that there's going to be a lot of things that my 2 cents or my opinion aren't asked about and aren't, like, people aren't concerned about it, whether it's because I'm white, whether it's because I'm American. Like, whatever I decide to cover here, there are going to be things that are not my place to speak on. But that's why I have a platform, because even if my 2 cents may not be wanted or needed on a topic, I can at least use my platform to give light to the music so that you guys have an additional set of eyes on it to where you can discuss it down in the comments below. That is what's important about this platform. I'm not going to have my own 2 cents about everything, whether for one reason or another. But I still want to make sure that I'm using my platform for things like the younger generations, right? As we get older, the newer fans of hip-hop are not going to have heard a song from 2011 that may or may not be controversial, that may or may not have topics that are important to discuss. Do you feel me on this? Like, you see where I'm walking with this? So because of that, we're going to hop into this. We're going to unpack it. I hope you guys know that anything that I do on sensitive topics, it's always coming from a place of love and a place of respect for hip-hop. So hopefully we don't have any kind of comments that are crazy. I usually get 1 or 2 comments per video that are really outlandish that we just dismiss and get rid of. But the overall vibe seems to be, you know, pretty on topic, pretty on point. So let's get into this. Do me a favor, run the gauntlet, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, little bell notification guy. Down in the comments below, what are your thoughts on this? I haven't heard the song yet. We are going to do a genuine reaction to this. So this is my first time hearing the song, and I want to know what are your thoughts on it, the song's content in hip-hop as well as on the channel. Do you think the channel should be covering songs that, like, based on the title, Blacks Are Fools, I'm assuming it's going to be racially charged content? Do you think that's something we should or shouldn't cover on the channel? And what are your actual opinions on the song? Those are the comments we want. If you want to support the channel, the best way to do so is by joining my Patreon. The Patreon is down in the description below. I'm also holding a contest. Details are in the video in the description below. If you win the contest, you have the opportunity to decide all of the shit that we're going to react to for an entire week for 10 videos. So you will get to choose 10 videos in the beginning of September and basically decide the direction of the channel for the first week of the month. If it goes well, I'm going to continue it on a month-to-month basis. So you can enter for a chance to win that if you guys are interested. Let's go. Sorry for the long intro. I just felt like, I don't know, I felt like sometimes a little bit of an explanation thing instead of just jumping right into it helps to add context to the conversation, which is why we're here. You feel me? But let's get it.
A nation without education will not know its worth. What I'm about to say is going to determine whether you know your worth. You don't know? And this is not book education, but it's your present.
He said a nation without education will not know its worth. And he's saying this is not about history. This is not something that's in the textbook. He's talking about the life that you're living right now. We're on our conscious tip already. You already know we're in there. Like, let's go.
10 years in the game, I know white bands that only seen 2 years of fame, but they said for life. Look at Parlotones and KFC. I ain't knocking them, it's really just what I see. Zara was the biggest star that we've ever seen, but what's sad, it was only seen by Cell-Scene. While we work hard just to sell a CD, they sign millions for a couple of MP3s and break bread for their own race, own creed. I wish black executives could take a lead.
So this is interesting. So the gist of what he's saying is he's seen black bands who have only been around for a year or two that are now rich, presumably because the record label CEOs and things of that nature are all white and feeding it back into their own race and creed that he was just talking about. This is not unlike a lot of the movement and stuff like that we have going on with Black Lives Matter in America right now, where you have people like Royce the 5'9", who's a super prominent MC on the hip-hop scene that is promoting black entrepreneurism to where they want more black individuals to own businesses in their own communities and instead of working for other owned businesses. So this is not a new topic for me to be addressing, and I'm on board so far. I think the idea of pushing entrepreneurship for any individual is always something that I'm going to back. And the important distinction, and I said this when talking about Royce's opinion on this, is there's a difference between saying like, hey, I think more black people should run businesses and own businesses. That doesn't necessarily exclude white people. There's a difference between saying black people should own businesses and black people should own businesses that white people can't go to. Those are two entirely different ideas. And I think the idea of pushing any culture and any group of people to go and own more businesses and seek out entrepreneurism is 100% a positive message, and I'm 100% behind it. Don't do it. Oh, we got a video too. Let's full screen it.
Like we embarrassed them.
Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back a little bit.
For their own race, own creed. I wish black executives could take a lead, but they put us down like we embarrassed them and give us skills that equate to embarrassment. And when we broke, they blame it on money management. I must say black people are stagnant.
So they're basically saying that the black CEOs that there are not giving the opportunity to the black citizens, and then blaming their poverty on the fact that they don't know how to manage their own money, not on the fact that the opportunities are not given. That's the stance that he's taking. Let's go.
Management. I must say black people are stagnant. PE buildings, we brag with it, while black schools are less than average. No.
Ooh. Okay, that was a bar right there. So let me catch this.
Stagnant. PE buildings, we brag with it.
So the BEE that he's talking about, when I did these, so check down in the description below where I go over like the introduction to South African hip hop video. That's the Black Economic Empowerment Movement, right? So this was right after the apartheid era. So for like the Americans and stuff like that are watching, which was basically a form of wealth distribution that is basically like affirmative action. So it was wealth distribution that was available for people of color and not for whites, as a way of almost like reparations in America of what we're, you know, you often hear people fighting for in America. So that's interesting. So let's see where he's going with this, because I didn't catch the end of the bar.
PE buildings, we brag with it, while black schools are less than average. Now what's up with that?
So he's saying that they're bragging about getting the BEE like stimulus or whatever you want to call it, right? But that the money was not redistributed back into the school systems. So this is similar to right now, like we have in America, and this is how I'm gonna create the analogy for points of conversation, because I can freely speak on American politics because I'm very familiar with it. So it's very similar to in America how we had the stimulus package that came up, and talking about the impoverished areas where you're gonna go buy a Gucci belt instead of investing into yourself. You're gonna go buy some Louis Vuitton sneakers instead of getting a car or getting your own house or apartment or something like that, where he's basically saying, like, the issues here now is education, which is what he started off. If you listen to the intro, he said a nation that isn't educated. So education is the issue, and instead of investing into that, they are just bragging. I guess this is like social media, throwing money on social media and things of that nature. I don't know why this is controversial yet. I don't think he said anything that is outlandish, in my opinion. Maybe these opinions or these ideas were looked at differently in 2011. Like, you have to understand that the climate of the conversation is definitely different 10 years ago. But nothing that he said so far has been super outlandish to me to warrant controversy.
They just wanna be fresh and they wanna be cool.
Let's bring it back a little bit.
These blacks are fools, they just wanna be fresh and they wanna be cool. Give them a little money and they think they do. But I hope we better than that, we better than that, we better than that.
See, and he's even bringing it around and putting a positive spin on it. Now, the way that he said that they want to be fresh, that goes to the American idea that I talked about too, about having the designer clothes and shit like that instead of investing. So I think I'm spot on my analysis up until this point.
Now in the struggle, they used to burn traders. I guess that's how they could separate us. Nowadays it's money and political favors. Politicians wanna be celebs and famous. Celebs wanna be politicians by faces. I guess
could you have predicted that? Yeah, talk about that. That is our life. That is the whole Donald Trump situation right now. You have celebrities that want to be famous. You have a lot of politicians that want to be celebrities now. Or I'm saying you have celebrities that want to be politicians. You have a lot of politicians that just want the fame and the clout that come along with it. He was ahead of his time. He was ahead of his time with this one, man. We're living this right now. This is currently something we're living. But now, what are your opinions on this? Because this is something that, like, forget the actual specific explanation of Donald Trump, right? Is there some value in having a celebrity or having somebody that is not a politician hold office? Because a lot of people's views on politicians is that they're all corrupt. And the reason that Donald Trump, in specific example, did gain so much momentum is because people were tired of politicians holding office. So what is your opinion on that? Do you think office should only be held by politicians? Or do you think a celebrity or a normal or a layman or something like that is better fitted and less likely to be corrupt than a politician? What are your views on that? Because that's an interesting conversation piece.
Society has gone pretentious, and when you talk the truth, they say that you're envious. I'ma be blatant, cause now this is strenuous. Media undermine us, they even offend us. Radio don't play us, so they don't recommend us. Journalists with scandals to misrepresent us. Meanwhile, they build the companies of the oppressors. For minimum wages, they make.
So, shout out to my guy Jimmy Wiz. Jimmy, if you check this out, salute. Check out Jimmy Wiz's music. A fantastic artist. He was on Twitter and started a conversation that I put my 2 cents in and was decided to read and check out. We're basically saying, like, the media in South Africa plays a lot of American hip hop. I don't know that the topic he talked about wasn't racially charged, but it was the idea of playing South Africans' own sounds and South Africa's own music as opposed to exposing them only to American media, and that it starts with the media playing and owning and having pride in their own sound and their own music, as opposed to, like, you can't judge the kids that are coming up in hip hop right now for sounding American if the only thing the media is playing for them is American sounding music, which was a great, shout out to my guy. It was a great conversation. There was a lot of good dialogue that was opened up with that. I read it and I took it to heart. It's something that I still use as a frame and talking point of reference. So that was super dope. But yeah, I think he's hitting on this. And again, this was 10 years ago, 9 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So this is not something that is new. This is a conversation piece that has been sitting there, man.
Make us look lesser, so who should the kids look up to? America? Of course, our heroes are downplayed by editors. So why blame white people when we can predators for our own lack of progression that we bring to us? And we think that we progressive, but we're delusional. Cause these blacks are.
Alright, so that's probably going to be the first piece there where I can see that this is creating controversy in the media. So he's basically saying stop blaming white people when there are black people who are just as guilty, in his opinion, with holding people back. This is happening in America too. This is the politics that we're living right now. This is very interesting to hear this coming from a different continent at a different era. You know, this is a decade ago where we're dealing with this now. There are a lot of people, there are two sides of the coin. You know what I'm saying? You have the people who think that the systemic racism and the progression of things over a span of time are to be blamed for the issues and the detriment to the current society. And then you do have those who are saying, like, it's not just that it's their own people that are holding them back. What are your opinions on this? Because this is something obviously that was talked about 10 years ago. I think the answer is going to be a combination of both. I think that the answer definitely lies, like, anytime that you have any type of far views, left or right, then there's always going to be some level of toxicity. If you try and blame everything on any one thing, I think you just end up making yourself seem like a victim instead of trying to be solution oriented. And I definitely think there's enough blame to go around for everybody, human wise, with why things are the way they are for any individual culture that exists. So that's my 2 cents on it. This isn't a political channel, so I'm not trying to dive too deep into it. I would rather open up the conversation to you guys in that, do you think that that's how this should be interpreted bars wise? We're looking at it from a musical standpoint, you feel me?
They just wanna be fresh and they wanna be cool. Give them a little money and they think they rule. But I hope we better than that. 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 We show up for BMWs and BWs, but doesn't it trouble you that they don't consider you in their marketing strategy? That's my view. But they know that you have a fashion IQ. Chances they don't even
see the fashion. This is going back to what I talked to before about the Gucci and the Louis Vuitton and shit like that. Like, they're not putting you in their marketing strategy as far as growing as a business partner. They're putting you in the marketing strategy as far as a consumer that they know that they can get in your pockets, not fat in your pockets. You dig me?
Like you, but they know that you're gonna make their brand cool. Cause we so materialistic with such fools. They don't even give a buck to the same hood. Spending money on extravagant foreign goods. Gucci, Versace, Louis, we advertising so much you think.
I think me and Slikour are on the same page with a lot of this, man. I think we're spot on with what the message is here. Yeah, I think he was ahead of his time. Or not ahead of his time. I just think that the issue has been the same for over a decade.
And supporting our own is such a duty. That's why we don't own nothing. Cause we think of ourselves as nothing. Black people always be job hunting. It's BE the only way to be something. Cause these blacks are fools. They just wanna be fresh and they wanna be cool. Give them a little money and they think they rule.
So then he says again there, is the BE the only way to be something? That's very interesting. This is also part of a conversation that gets happening a lot now too. Like I said, like, you're always gonna have the outliers, right? You're always gonna have the entrepreneurs who came up from nothing, that are the open voice to equal opportunity. If I did it, you can do it. Whereas you still have the 99%ers who don't make it, who aren't the next big stars. You know what I'm saying? This is a fantastic conversation piece. As far as hip hop goes, this is incredible. This is really dope.
But I hope we better than that. 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 We better than that.
What a powerful image too, to see that these conversations that he's creating, resulting in him being arrested. You're going to have generations who have no idea about apartheid, or not no idea. I don't want to say no idea, but there's a difference between generations that have lived through it and generations that are going to read about it in a textbook, that may not understand the severity of it, that may not understand that, yeah, trying to teach people to have ownership and entrepreneurism and, you know what I'm saying, it can result in you being arrested and taken out of your classroom. Dude, like, that was not a criminal being arrested. That was not somebody killing people or selling drugs. You have a teacher who had the love of his students, who was preaching a good message, being arrested. Like, this is a powerful video. I hope I did this breakdown justice. I'm very curious to see what your guys' opinions is of this. Let's start the dialogue. Yo. I'm glad I decided to do this. This was dope. This was an amazing piece of hip-hop. I hope nobody is offended by my breakdown of this. Again, I want to end on the note that my goal here is never to offend. My goal here is either to educate myself and others around and to open up the dialogue. Hopefully I didn't overstep. Hopefully you understand the analogies that I was trying to make just to expand the audience and give praise to what is an absolutely dope hip-hop song. We are not going to be doing a scorecard. I do not think this is an appropriate song to be breaking down scorecard-wise. But let's start the dialogue. Let's have the conversation. What are your thoughts on the reaction? What are your thoughts on my input? And then what are your individual thoughts on the actual track? I love y'all. I appreciate y'all coming to hang out with me and talk about this. And I will catch y'all on the next one.